Good morning and welcome to Focus Richmond. It is my pleasure again this morning to have with me Dr. Cara Hartle, who is with Virginia Physicians for Women. You and I have spoke before. I'm excited to be talking to you again because we're going to talk about period poverty, especially among students. Here's the thing. This is something you probably don't think about, but we all kind of should. Young children, girls, is a very important focus group here. And I want to talk to you about women's health and how we all can make a difference.
Great. Yes. Thank you so much for having me back on the show, Lori.
Of course, of course. Now, let's talk about this. I guess it was like was it July we did the big mama and baby supply drive there at VPFW. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. It's a big drive, and so this is something where we shift the focus a little bit.
And I love it. So this is VPFW's period supplies drive, and it's going on through May 30th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Cool. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So, yes, absolutely. So we are holding our annual period supplies drive for Sylvia's Sisters, which is a local organization that fights poverty by getting quality period products to menstruators throughout the area who need them. This organization works with local elementary, middle, and high schools wherever there is a need for period products. They provide these amazing period kits to these young women with menstrual pads, tampons, and panty liners who can either take them home or put them in their backpacks, but they basically have the supplies available whenever they need them, whenever their period hits. Believe it or not, there's a lot of families who can't afford to buy quality period products or just don't have access to these products at all, and they need them a few days out of every month.
I know, and we all remember being that age and feeling like, when you get your period, when it comes, and I can't imagine being there in that space and then not having a pad or a tampon.
Yes, it is absolutely not a good feeling for these young women. Last year, Sylvia's Sisters actually shared a story with us about a girl who was acting out at school every once in a while, and it became a problem to the extent where the school was threatening to suspend or expel her. And then she would be fine for a while and didn't have any behavioral problems. And then a few weeks later, she would act out again. Well, after a few months, one of her teachers noticed the pattern and the fact that it fell about a month apart, and she kind of made the kind of connection in which she realized that was the time whenever she was getting her period.
Oh, so she was like actually trying to get expelled because she didn't have access to period products, right?
Yes, she basically was looking to see if somebody would send her home and she would be able to get out of the classroom and get out of school. So they figured out that once they were able to provide her with a period kit each month, that the problem was solved and she didn't have any further acting out or, behavioral problems. She was successfully able to just continue to stay in school.
That is heartbreaking, but it's not uncommon for a student to be worried about whether or not they have access to pads and tampons, like the next time they're going to have their period. This happens, right?
Absolutely. So unfortunately, it's not uncommon at all. In fact, 1 in 4 students have actually missed school due to the lack of access to their period products.
Wow, 1 in 4. And I imagine there are probably even more girls out there who might be trying to use maybe pads or tampons longer than they should because they just don't have enough period products.
Absolutely. That's right. They absolutely do that.
And that's not good. As a gynecologist, you can speak to the health and hygiene implications of using a product for too long, right?
Absolutely. So good menstrual hygiene is actually very important. Changing out tampons and pads regularly can help to prevent infections and odors. And so when these young girls don't have quality period supplies, they end up having to reuse pads or leave tampons in for a lot longer than ever that you should.
Right.
And then they end up having to resort to using toilet paper or rags or other products, paper towels.
Right.
This kind of thing leads to vaginal infections, vulvar infections, urinary tract infection, and they can actually really become serious.
That is so sad. How often should the girls be changing their pads or tampons?
So girls should only be wearing a pad for at the most 4 hours before they change it. And then on the heavy days, we typically recommend that they end up having to change them a little bit more frequently. And tampons should only be worn for 4 to 8 hours, and really 8 hours that is the absolute max.
Right.
And depending on how heavy the flow is, tampons typically also need to be switched out sooner than even every 4 hours.
So it really requires a lot of, when you think about it, period products each month to practice good period hygiene and prevent infections. I love that VPFW is holding this period supply drive right now because we all know that period products, they are not cheap and everything's expensive right now. And I'm sure a lot of girls just don't have the means to buy all the tampons and pads they need each month, or their parents don't have it.
Absolutely. So none of these products are cheap. Unlike food, there's no federal aid program like WIC or SNAP that covers period products. They're not included in that. So if these young girls don't have a parent or somebody who's willing to help them get the supplies that they need each month, they just end up staying home from school or avoid going out in public because they don't actually have a pad or a tampon to use.
Wow. And teens or anybody who doesn't have access to quality period products, I mean, just getting your period can really set back their lives every month.
Yes, the lack of access to these period products can absolutely negatively impact mental health. It can be really difficult to overcome missing school periodically, and then they start to fall behind in academics, but they might also be missing sports and work and fun activities with friends, social events. So, just think how it feels for one of these young women to be missing a school dance or their
Right.
sports practice or even just hanging out with their friends because they don't have period products. It can be really stressful, and it can start to lead to anxiety and depression. And that, ultimately can evolve into chronic mental health issues that can last throughout your life because you're feeling excluded.
Wow. I mean, just to think about it spiraling like that is pretty sad, and how can it affect someone's life? But the good news is there is a way that we can help. VPFW is holding a period supplies drive this spring for Sylvia sisters to help fight period poverty and give menstruators access to quality period products that they need.
Yeah, so we are really big believers in supporting these young women through Sylvia Sisters' mission. This year, our drive is even more crucial for a couple different reasons. So one is that the need for period products in underserved communities is rapidly growing. And the second reason is that because of recent federal government funding cuts, this has been impacting our state health departments. So the Virginia Department of Health was unfortunately forced to halt many grants for nonprofits that serve some of these vulnerable populations, including a grant that was providing funding to Sylvia Sisters in order to operate. So Sylvia Sisters is really relying on these drives and donations to be able to do what they do and to continue to provide products to menstruators who need these products. And it's helping to fight period poverty in Central Virginia.
Wow. You see the news, and then when it hits right at home, you realize we can make a difference. So donating products right now can really, really help out these menstruators, but also help Sylvia Sisters. I mean, this organization, I'm aware of it, and others are. If you're not, they are amazing. And they're able to operate and have been operating with the help of some federal funding, which is gone now. So totally, I'm hoping, and we'll talk about this coming up, all the different ways that we can help, we can donate, we can be there and make a difference. Can you tell me some of those?
Yeah, so you can donate period products to all of our 6 local VPFW locations throughout Greater Richmond and Prince George, or you can also donate through the Amazon wish list, which is listed under VPFW.com's website. So we're accepting tampons, panty liners, menstrual pads of any size or absorbency. And Sylvia Sisters will get these supplies to the teens that need them at schools in the Greater Richmond area. You can also donate new underwear and leggings in both youth and adult sizes. That way the schools can have them on hand, because we all know that sometimes whenever periods come, whenever you least expect it, you
Right.
need a change of clothes. And so in order to avoid these times of embarrassment for these young women, this is really necessary.
Oh, that's awesome. And you also need period supplies that I may have in my closet. Like if I have like some open packs, can I bring those?
Yes, absolutely. So we can take any of the open boxes or packs of tampons, panty liners, or pads, As long as each of the products are individually wrapped, we will be able to take them.
Okay, I don't know if we had this last year or not, but I'm super excited. You mentioned an Amazon wish list?
Yes. So specifically my request, because, ordering on Amazon is just so easy.
Right?
So you basically go to VPFW.com and you look for the announcement under our Drive for Sylvia Sisters, and you can donate through the Amazon wish list. So we've added all of the products that Sylvia Sisters needs, and everything ends up being directly delivered to our office. And then at some point we put together and we help to assemble these little kits that we can, distribute to the local schools. So you don't even have to leave your house to help us with this.
Oh, I am going to share this with everyone. It's going to be on my Lori Kelly page. It's going to be on the K95 page. This is the easiest way to do this. And honestly, we all know that. We're all sitting in our houses and going, what can we do? How can I help? Man, you have given us,
Absolutely.
How many times do you open up your Amazon app on your phone, right? I love this.
Exactly. It's just the easiest way to donate, and you don't have to go anywhere, and you can just help us out by just going onto your Amazon account.
You mentioned how important period hygiene is and how important these period products are for girls in terms of both physical and mental health. What do they do if they're experiencing a problem? What should they do about it?
So if any of these teenagers are experiencing a gynecologic problem, we encourage them to make an appointment at vpfw.com and come in and see us. So my colleagues at VPFW and I are all happy to help figure out what the problem is and how it can be treated. So patients can call our medical advice line at 804-897-2100 if they have any questions or just need some guidance.
Right.
And now we even have an online messenger at vpfw.com where patients can just chat with a medical assistant if they have a medical question, which is really great for these young people who are very tech savvy.
Right.
And timid. And they might not also be in a position to talk.
Right. And that's a generation that doesn't like to talk. They like to type. But go ahead.
Exactly. So you don't even have to, sit on the phone and wait for somebody. You can actually type your question and wait for an answer. And it makes it so convenient for these young teenagers to get in touch with us.
Oh, that's great. Now, what age should adolescents start actually seeing a gynecologist for an annual checkup? What do doctors recommend?
Yeah, so that's actually a really great question and a very common question. So the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology recommends that adolescents consider starting to see a gynecologist between the ages of 13 and 15. But they can always come and see us sooner if they're experiencing any problems or if they've become sexually active and need to have discussions about that.
And what kind of things do you actually talk about at that first appointment?
So the first appointment is mostly talking, which is always a good thing.
Right.
We do not necessarily have to have a pelvic exam. As a matter of fact, the majority of the times we don't do a pelvic exam on their first appointment. So our goal is at the first visit, we want to make these young women feel comfortable going to a gynecologist and talking about their health. It is not the most comfortable thing to talk about to begin with, but just getting familiar with the setting and being able to meet one of the doctors can be really helpful to start a trusting relationship so that you can have these discussions. And we start talking about things like menstrual hygiene. We can go over what's considered to be normal whenever it comes to our periods. We talk about menstrual cramps and other symptoms. We could talk about birth control and what might be beneficial for managing periods or for pregnancy prevention. So we want to be able to educate these teenagers and make sure that they are comfortable talking about sexual health if they need to. It's a safe space that they can come and ask us any kind of questions that they have.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important for girls to feel safe when they, go to a gynecologist. And I love that, like you said, many times the first visit is just a chat. So VPFW's period supply drive. I know, isn't it great? Period supply drive is going on. Let's talk about access to period products and how teens' physical and mental health can now be harmed. I mean, they're avoiding school. They're not doing extracurricular activities like soccer practice due to a lack of supplies. Let's talk about soccer. I hear you guys are actually going to be collecting supplies at the Richmond Ivy game on May the 17th.
Yes, we are. So the Richmond Ivy is Richmond's new pre-professional women's soccer team, and VPFW is the presenting sponsor of Ivy's big rivalry game with the Charlottesville Blues on Saturday, May 17th at 5 p.m. It's called the 64 Derby, and we are going to be collecting our period supplies for Sylvia Sisters right inside of the gate. It's going to be a green out, so everybody is supposed to wear green to support the Ivy. And definitely stop by at the VPFW photo booth, and you can learn more about this event at VPFW.com. So previously, we sponsored the inaugural home opener last year, and it was so much fun. It was a completely sold-out crowd. Everybody was so pumped during, the game to support the team. And so we hope that everyone is able to be there at City Stadium on May 17th. And just remember to bring your period supplies to donate to the drive at Sylvia Sisters.
And again, you can find out all about that great day at VPFW.com. Now, remind us one more time about the details about this period supply drive that's going on now at VPFW.
Sure. So VPFW is holding a period supplies drive for Sylvia Sisters now through May 30th to help teens in local schools have access to the period products that they need to maintain for their menstrual health and hygiene. You can drop off new or open packs of tampons, pads, or panty liners as long as they are individually wrapped at any of the VPFW locations. And Sylvia Sisters will make sure that they get them to these menstruators out there who need them. We're also taking donations of unused leggings and underwear in all sizes, anywhere from youth extra small through adult 2XL.
And that, my friend, shopping is written all over it. You know you're going to open up your Amazon, that app. You're going to do it at some point between now and the end of the week if you don't do it by the end of the day. And I would like you to realize that you can also make a difference and donate through the Amazon wish list.
Yeah, so you're trying to make it as easy as possible for everybody. So under the period supplies drive announcement on VPFW.com, there is a link to the Amazon wish list, and you can purchase products there to be delivered directly to our Coker Center office, and we will get them to where they need to go.
That's okay. So if I am thinking about doing some of that shopping right now, are there particular products, period products, that are in higher demand?
Honestly, they haven't identified any specific areas of great need this year, because basically they can use all types of period products. So anybody, any kind of products that you have just hanging out at home that are going unused, these are all things that people can use. And it's really helpful for people to donate tampons since they're so expensive, but pads are also a really high demand product. So any of these things are welcomed. They need all sizes and absorbencies, so you can choose a couple of everything. And again, you can find all of the products that we definitely can use on Amazon's wish list at VPFW, and that's an easy way to donate.
Thank you so much again for stopping by and chatting with us. You always bring us such cool things that you guys are doing there at VPFW. Been speaking this morning with Dr. Cara Hartle, and she wants you to find out how you can help VPFW and Sylvia Sisters fight period poverty by donating period supplies. Stop by any of the locations here in the Richmond area through May the 30th, and you can donate. Or, I love this, just go to VPFW.com. Click on that Amazon wish list and do something good today. We would totally appreciate that. Oh, and don't forget the Richmond Ivy game going on May 17th. There's going to be, as you said, you'll all be right inside the gate collecting things there too. So you can find out information about that at VPFW.com. Thanks for stopping by and chatting with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Lori.
Okay. And everyone else, thanks for spending some time this morning on Focus Richmond.